Okay, so uh, I just analyzed my first 3 rounds, and now we're getting to the final round. The final round was a money round. This is just a 4-round tournament, and I played the top seed. Let me figure out how to spell his name. Romain Eduoard. There we go. Oh, there's an accent over the E. Yeah, there's a spelling of Romain with an E at the end, but that's like the leafy greens. Pretty sure I played this guy. I'm so bad with like recognizing faces. It's one of those things like when I play chess, I don't really look at my opponent. Anyway, yeah, strong player. Maybe we can find his FIDE page. FIDE rating of yeah, almost 2600. And the reason why Romain is in St. Louis, because he's from France, is if you go to the St. Louis Chess Club YouTube channel, or if you physically go to the St. Louis Chess Club, there's weekly lectures that the Grandmaster in Residence teaches, and he's been teaching them for the last few weeks. Yeah, so he has some lectures. Uh, they're completely free on YouTube and like very thorough. Like a lot of them are hour long. So I used to do some of these back like 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. Oh, Har Krishnan says St. Louis Chess Club is how I found Eric. Yeah, if you sort by most popular, I have a few like kind of popular lectures. There's also a playlist. I don't know how I'd find it. Probably by clicking on playlists. But this was the beginning of my YouTube chess journey before I made content on my own channel. So, I didn't really have time to prepare specifically, but I will say before the tournament began, around maybe 5:30, the tournament started at 6. Around 5:30, I like really quickly booted up my laptop and just like did some general preparation for this guy and Var and Kevlashvili, just to have a sense of what to do, like if I played them. So I did look up Edward's chess.com account before the tournament, and I knew to expect this position after knight f3. And on chess.com, he only had one game in the move that I ended up playing, which is a6. I think in that game he played bishop g5, but it's some like random blitz game on chess.com. In this game, he played e3, which is very solid approach. I've played a lot of different moves even in this position, but the point of a6 is to stay flexible and create a scenario where I can later take, play b5, c5, bishop b7, and be happy. So e3 is an attempt just to ensure this pawn's defended, and I didn't want to take right away because then the bishop just develops in one move. Usually the strategy here for black is to wait until this bishop develops before I take. So if bishop d3 were played, then I would take, gain time, and black's already doing quite well here. What happened in the game, he played b3. And now if I take, it's likely the pawn will take back. So I kind of gave up on the idea of taking and just completed development. And then, yeah, we both played like very natural developing moves. The move order might be a little bit mixed up here, but yeah, we got to this position and we're both fully developed. This is a very typical like Queen's Gambit declined type position. Sometimes the bishop is like here or here rather than on b2. But very solid setup for both sides. He took here, took back with pawn, and we continue improving our pieces. I realized here that there's no need for my bishop to be on e7. It's better on d6. And it's actually useful that I played a6 because now there's no knight b5. So he played knight e2, rook e8, knight g3. And there's already some like annoying ideas knight f5. So I played g6. And there's times where g6 is weakening to dark squares. But white's dark square bishop is so shut out in this position that I'm okay playing this. My dark square bishop is a bit more centralized. So a3, queen e7, hitting the pawn. And this was rapid, so we were playing like at a pretty quick pace here. 94. And then he played a move which like didn't cross my mind, but it's interesting, is to play a4. And essentially here he's saying, oh no, my pawn. He didn't actually say that in the game. If I take, then there's rook c7, and this is probably a very good trade for white. My bishop is hit, and the rook's annoying. Knight e5 might be coming. So I can't really take on b4. I over-defended the pawn to threaten to take on b4. But then after b5, a5, white now has this like kind of positional bind on the queen side. This pawn is kind of backwards, where if I remove, it takes, and then these pawns could be weak. So game continued, bishop b1. It was a very tense position. Like we've only traded one pawn thus far, and we're both kind of just holding our ground. And even though this is a backwards pawn, it's not like super weak just yet. So I decided to try and make gains on the king side. Played h5, some idea h4. And now he took, not even giving it a chance to play h4. Takes, and knight d2. And I was feeling good here. I have a well-defended pawn in e4, and I have nice bishop diagonal. This bishop is a bit restricted by the e pawn. This bishop's restricted by the d pawn, and I thought there'd be a lot of like attacking ideas just with these arrows. But then during the game, it wasn't so simple. I played knight f6 with a sneaky threat, which of course he saw. I'm threatening a Greek gift. So if white's not careful and plays something like this, I can take here. And I assume this would be really good for black. Check engine. Oh, king h3 actually. Yeah, maybe it's not good for black. King h3 and I don't have this bishop move. Okay, I'm not sure. Like if this were played in the game, I'm not sure if I would actually go ahead and take. I would think about it though. But the practical approach here for white is h3. Just don't even give me the option of bishop h2. And then I played a move which I think in hindsight I kind of regretted. But in the moment, I thought it was a useful way to continue my ideas in the position. I played pawn c6. And the reason for playing this it was basically to put the bishop on b8 and then try and create the checkmating battery. In the game, there were some issues that after white takes, I took with bishop. There is a very timely move from white. His pawn, or not yet pawn, but first knight c4. I played bishop b8. And now a very timely move. In this position, I quietly said to myself, oh no, my pawn. But this is a trap. If white takes the pawn, another quiz for Twitch chat. Black to move and punish white for being greedy. Good job to everyone saying queen c7. And the one person who said queen c2 but meant queen c7. Yeah, this threatens mate and threatens a knight. So it's a nice thing about having the bishop just kind of sniping from b8. So the pawn is defended by tactics. But in this position, my opponent played pawn d5. And this was a really spicy move. Because it looks like it's just a free pawn, like it's attacked by two minor pieces only defended by the queen. But the point is it unleashes the beast of a bishop on b2. And here I took some time because I was a little bit flabbergasted and realized that I have to be really careful. Because if I take with bishop, then there's bishop takes f6, and queen takes, I lose a piece. In the game, I took with a knight, but here white just seizes initiative, starting with queen d4, threatening two different mates. I played pawn f6, and then knight takes b6. Wait a minute, no, knight takes b6 wasn't played. f3 was played. we analyzed a little bit after the game, and we were analyzing like just with the Lichess engine for my phone. It turns out knight takes b6 is a top engine move, and white can get away with it in this position. Side notation here. And the difference is that after queen c7, I would have played this like thinking, aha, I'm winning the knight. This is white to move and destroy black's hopes and dreams. White has a really kind of unexpected move here. Good job to Stephen Willie, being tactically sharp. Yeah, queen takes d5. The check is stronger than the mate threat, more forcing. And the problem here, if I take the queen, I lose my queen, I lose a bishop, I'm down a bishop. Wait, no. I'm down material here because I have rook for knight and bishop. But I'm about to lose more material. Knight f6 is coming pretty much no matter what. So we both missed that. Like, he didn't play knight b6 in the game, but he played a really interesting move, pawn f3, which I should make them. And yeah, here my time was getting really low because it was such a crazy position. And I'm temporarily up a pawn, but there were just so many things to try and calculate here. And it was difficult to like go through all the candidate moves and trying to avoid blundering. What I ended up doing was taking the pawn. I think the engine suggests that I should play queen c7 here, provoke f4, and then try and like close things down. Maybe like rook c d8. This is a better way of playing for black. But yeah, in the game I took, trying to open up lines against e3. The problem is after rook takes, there's the line against f6, which is attacked by so many things. And I play queen c5 here. And then in this moment, like, it was actually crazy. After the game, what am I saying? Actually, let me explain what happened this moment. This moment, Varusian Akobian had like just finished his game. And like he walked by. I was like looking at our game, and eventually like we continued. But then after the game, Varusian just pointed out in this position that white has like an absolutely crushing move. And it was crazy that VAR could like just spot a move by casually glancing at the game. But there's a really nice shot. Rook takes f6 here, which just completely destroys black. And oh, good job to Joe suggesting rook f6. Yeah, the point is that okay, if I take with the queen, then check, and like king here, then takes, and bishop defends the rook. And if I take the rook, then queen takes f6, and I'm just getting crushed. And then knight covers e3, so there's no counterplay. But my opponent fought for a bit here and didn't take on f6. I was actually expecting bishop takes g6. I was going to play rook e7, and then things still are like really messy because there's still some pressure with the g file. But he took my queen. And then we go into an endgame. And I was down like to below a minute. He was falling below like 2 or 3 minutes. He took the pawn. I blitzed out bishop a8. Then he took this pawn. Looks like all the things are falling, but I'm only down a pawn here. And then I won the pawn on e3. And then takes, takes, takes. So a lot of pawns coming off the board. White has 3. I have 2. A wide open position. My bishops are... Wait a minute. This didn't happen. This didn't happen. I got confused when he took on h5 first. So I was not able to win g2. And then this happened. So takes, takes. And at this point, I had like 30 seconds left. And we had the 2-second increment. So like I had a little bit of time to calculate, but it wasn't much. And I played a move that's based on like a 3 or 4 move calculation. And the problem with the next move that I played is I didn't calculate one more move further. So just to explain quickly, I was calculating knight f4, temporarily sacking a bishop. And my point was that after bishop takes a knight e2 check, king moves, knight takes c1, bishop takes c1. I would have bishop c7 hitting the knight and hitting the bishop. And I even looked at bishop b7 and rook to e8 in that line. And it looks like I'm winning a piece in the end. What I missed was bishop d5 check. And then the bishop saved, and white's going to have two minor pieces for the rook and also have an extra pawn. So unfortunately, I based my calculation off like a very short think, and it's already difficult to play for black, but we went into this line here. He played king f1, and then here I realized there's bishop d5 in the very end. I still took the rook, and he took, and I still went for this line. But after bishop d5, king g7. I had another idea though, like because we kind of stumbled into this position, and after knight c4, I play rook to d8, trying to skewer the bishop to the d1 square. The problem is that white has a bunch of ways to just deal with this. He played knight e3. He could also play bishop f3. Now I was still trying to like make things tricky. At this point, I had maybe like around 5 to 10 seconds, purely living on increment. He had less than a minute. I played bishop f4, making things extra spicy. So now the knight's pinned, and my threat is to take and win the bishop. And this is where he unleashed just an amazing sequence of moves. Starting with knight f5, hitting my king and my bishop, but leaving this bishop hanging. And after king g6, this, and this are hanging. All the minor pieces are hanging in this position for both sides. But then he plays knight e7, checking the king, saving the knight, defending the bishop, and he's still attacking my bishop on f4, and I don't even have king f7 to try and attack the knight. I don't have king f5. I have to play king g5, try and keep my bishop defended. And then he plays h4. And he's just trying to remove my king from defending the bishop. Well, I have king g4. And then he plays bishop f3. And I can't retreat. I have to move up to g3 to keep my bishop defended. And then knight f5. And all of a sudden, I'm just getting mated. Like, I'm not even just losing the bishop. I play king h2, only legal move. Bishop takes bishop. King h1, only legal move. And now white to move, checkmate in 1. On g4. Delayed grab. Such a cool mate, too. Because not even, like, g3 doesn't work because it blocks the bishop. Like, the pawn has to move 2 squares. I was happy to get opposition. But maybe white is the one with opposition here. Works in both directions. So anyway, this was the conclusion of the tournament. I finished with 3 out of 4. But all the games were super fun. And I hope people enjoyed seeing them and seeing some of the analysis. Now, the final story is there was a prize fund. And I didn't think I was going to win money with 3 out of 4 because there were a lot of people who had 2 points going into the last round who won. So there ended up being a lot of people finishing with 3 out of 4 and maybe 1 with 3.5. And VAR Kobian scored 4 out of 4. So VAR and my last round opponent, Eduoard, finished in a tie for first. However, because my US rapid rating is really, really low compared to my other ratings, real quick, I'll show. My rapid rating, or my US chess calls it the quick rating, is 2280. And there is an under 2400 prize, which I don't think the Grandmaster is qualified for. But I finished in like a 6 or 7 or 8-way tie for the under 2400 prize, and I won $81. So it was a nice cash prize. So anyway, that's it. But if you made it this far on YouTube or on Twitch, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe on both platforms. And I'll see the YouTube people in the future.